I'm what am I don't know. My mom's half Swede, half Norwegian. So what does that make me?
Half Swede? Oh no! I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
Well, we're having lots of fun here today. I'm sorry we're about 10 minutes late. No, we're only 7 minutes late. But anyway, my name is Norm Ellis. This is Grace Baptist Church, the Adult One Bible Study. Glad to have you with online and in the classroom. Today, we're going to be talking about undivided worship. Undivided worship. And we are in Deuteronomy chapter 12. And we're looking at this. It's called undivided worship. We're looking at these three areas. Remove idolatry. And that's verses 1 through 7. Worship God. And I would say alone there. Verses 8 through 11. And the last one is stand firm. We're going to jump to verses 29 through 32. And the main point of our study today is that Christians are to avoid idols and worship God alone. Can I hear a hearty amen?
Amen.
Amen. Wait a minute, I don't have any graven images. There's no idols sitting in my house. We'll talk about that in a little.
Have you seen the TV?
Yeah, well, you're messing with my material here.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. I'm just joking. So, my name is Norm Ellis. Glad to have you all with us here. And let's have a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, help us as we go through this lesson today. These verses, Lord, in Deuteronomy. And just thank you that we're able to have time to meet together to worship, Lord. In some countries, they're not allowed to do that, Lord. I just thank you that we are able to do that. Just pray that you'd help us as we go through these verses and see how they can apply in our lives today and what they mean for us. And I just pray for those that are out here today. Keep them safe. Watch over those that are on their way here and those that are sick. Be with Marvin right now. I know he had to go home. He was feeling ill. And just be with others, Lord, that are missing loved ones and such. And I pray for our pastor as he brings the message later on. In your son's precious name, amen.
Amen.
So undivided worship. Now, to us, that would be a given, right? Glad to have you guys here. I know you're here because there's no class.
Your granddaughter's so far.
Well, maybe that somebody will show up. That'd be great.
Maybe, yes.
Because I know that you guys are like me, and you prepare, and suddenly nobody's here. Who would have led to this last verse? It's a hard one.
Trade you.
All righty. So, no whimpering, guys. All right. So, undivided worship. Christians are to avoid idols and worship God alone. Now, for us today, we think, piece of cake. We can handle that, right? But there's certain things in our lives that tend to do something to us. And for my visual aid today, I have a visual aid today. You're lucky you came today.
Yes, because we have kids that like visual aids.
All the
Visual
time.
aid here. All right. Some of you will recognize this right off the bat. Some of you can say, what the heck is that, Norm? So you can take it and just pass it around. And see what this is. Pass it around a little bit.
It's one of the greatest pastimes.
Second greatest.
Second greatest.
We're going to talk about that. But anyway, so what do you see right there in your hand? What is that you're looking at?
Fishing lures.
A fishing lure, yeah. So in Deuteronomy 12, 29 through 30, this is one of the verses we'll be reading today. It says, when the Lord your God annihilates the nations before you, which you are entering to take possession of, and you drive them out and live in their land, be careful not to be ensnared by their ways. After they have been destroyed before you, do not inquire after their gods, little g, asking, how did these nations worship their gods? I'll also do the same.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Okay. So what possible connection? By the way, those of you online, I'll have to explain because you didn't see my visual aid. Okay. My visual aid is these little guys right here. Now, what are these little guys right here? Fishing lures, right?
Yes.
Now, they happen to be one of my favorite ones for catching trout and kokanee. They're made by Mac, and this particular one is called Hot Wings. And on the end of this Hot Wings one, you have a little leader, and then you have one of these things sitting there, and this is called a wedding ring. This particular one is called a double whammy. Double whammy. And they have various kinds that supposedly work for various kinds of fish. But I found in general these just work good for trout. And so if you ever are a trout fisherwoman, and you're at a lake, maybe a big stream or something like that, try these out. You'll have pretty good luck now. I usually troll with them though, so some people don't do that. I don't gnome with them, I just troll with them.
Troll? That sounds like a bad word.
Well, when you troll fishing, it's different.
The word troll has several connotations.
Yes, it does.
Particularly, I was looking at it from a double meaning there with gnomes and trolls.
Oh, yeah.
Norm, you're so funny. Yeah, I know. My grandkids think I'm hilarious. But these things, why is this an effective tool? I already put it away, but what's some aspects of a fishing lure like this great one here? Why does it make it an effective tool for catching fish, do you think?
It's bright.
Okay, it's
and
bright.
it can move
Right.
with the water.
So if it's bright, what's it going to do?
Attract the
Attract.
fish.
Yeah, you're going to turn your eyes towards it if you're a fish, right? Now some
I
people
don't
also
know.
put bait on these things. I'm not bait on the scent on these things because fish are very oriented towards scent too, so they would smell it too. Oh wow! And they'd look and they see that's bright and shiny. Oh look at there's some nice corn and a piece of worm. What are they going to do?
Head for it.
They're going to head for it and
You might have dinner there.
boom! They're going to hit that hook and become what?
Bait or a catch.
Ensnared.
Ensnared.
See, I used that word ensnared from Deuteronomy. I didn't go when I hit the word, but that means that's an important word. But Moses was afraid. What was he afraid of? Before the people went into the promised land. They finally came to the promised land that second time, right? And they were going to follow God because the old generation that didn't do it died off. A good object lesson for the new generation. And they were going to go into the promised land, and Moses was afraid of something. He was afraid of them being influenced by what?
He was worried that they too might be attracted to the things.
Something shiny.
Yeah.
Something attractive. Well, look, they're having good crops here, and those people having good crops in their land. You might want to move that chair and come on down this way some,
Move it.
and the chair can come down here if you want. There we go. Oh, it's a terrible thing to have to make room for more people, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
Come on in, good to see you. Anyway, so that the lure of that religion, a new religion to them, right? Seeing the fact that hey, these people are sitting doing well, and they worship, whatever god might be, Baal or Asherah. There's several different deities. Those are the two main ones at the time. So they might be tempted to do what?
Turn around and worship them instead of
Not necessarily them instead, but we're going to take some of that in, mix it in with worshiping Yahweh alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute, alone. There's that
Distraction.
pesky word alone. We'll just forget that word alone for a moment there. We'll mix it in, and we'll have the best of both worlds, right? That's what they were thinking. So that gives us a little taste of what's going on here. But what potential snares and lures were dangerous to those Israelites? We talked about them, right? Looking and seeing what was around them, seeing, hey, maybe I'll try that idol or try this god, try this worship practice. Do Christians face dangerous snares today?
yes.
Do you think in that same way? Sure they do. Yeah. We're going to talk about that today. What might entice people to experiment with false religious practices? Everybody got a copy of the handouts?
I'm gonna share. Go.
No.
We share in
No,
our
here's
class. Oh.
I have
Yeah, relax.
plenty.
Here's another one.
You can hold on to it right there until somebody else comes in.
Okay.
All right, good. Did you ever hear my question?
No.
No.
Sorry.
It's just like my dog at home. Squirrel.
Yeah.
Where?
Shiny thing.
Shiny thing. Yeah. But we do face things like this today, right?
Yes.
What might entice people to experiment with false religious practices, do you think?
They're inquisitive.
Okay, inquisitive.
I can't even remember what it's called because I don't.
Uh-huh.
It's where what's the pastor that's on TV all the time and he preaches
The prosperity.
thank you.
Health and wealth and prosperity.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one. There's many others like the other areas.
Someone
Yeah.
else is doing it.
Yeah, so other people are doing it, right?
They
Must be
don't-
fun, right? My friends are doing it. It's the newest thing. Did you buy that latest book by this guy? Why, it explores all the aspects of the hidden gospels we don't know about. Let's check into it. Okay, yeah. Something shiny, something new, right? Those things can then snare us as well.
Well, and
Yes, go ahead.
and in the schools, they're allowed to teach whatever the dinosaurs was.
Oh, evolution.
Yeah, evolution, but they're not able to allow anything about God.
Right, and it's not
And-
just schools, it's all throughout society that
But
that kind of thing permeates things, doesn't it?
sometimes then from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
you think only evolution, that God didn't create the world, that, you know, it just happened this way, or
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because in science, you're supposed to question things, except when the people in charge say don't question this, the science is settled. That's baloney, don't believe that. Anyway, we'll go on here, but how can we avoid these kind of things? And how can we show that maybe that Jesus is the better option to worship him alone? Something to think about here. We'll talk about that later on, but think about that. We're going to look at our handouts real quick here now. In our handouts, everybody should have a copy, and except for me. Did I
Oh,
do my
here.
copy? No.
this is
Mine's in color.
Oh, you're
I'm
special.
looking for mine.
You could
They
give
were supposed
us
to
that
save
one.
on the colored ink. I adhere to that doctrine here in this class, so I don't use the color one. Now, if you do get my emails, you'll get color. Ooh, so if you have it on your device, you can look at that if you dare. Anyway, in the handout number 1, and those of you online, you can get a copy of this as well. Our pastor, Matthew Ellis, can send you the email. Just contact him at our church, Grace Baptist Church in Vancouver, Washington. He'll be glad to put you on the email list. You can get a copy as well. I apologize if you probably don't have one right now, but I'll try to read these salient points for you. Anyway, in the intro paragraph, which is the first page of the handout, says, we've all heard the statements, I don't need to go to church to worship. I can worship just as well while walking on the beach, or working in my garden, or hiking in the mountains, or the proverbial out in the lake fishing, right? Well,
On the golf course.
those statements may contain a kernel of truth, perhaps, but the experiences aren't really the same, are they? To worship with God's people in a place set aside for that distinct purpose centers our focus. Corporate worship draws our hearts to Him like nothing else can. Do you think God cares about where and how people worship Him?
Yes.
Why is it do you think He cares so much for that?
It says so in a word.
Well, there's that thing, and you know that picky little thing called the Bible, and it is our owner's manual for our life as Christians, right? It does say we are to do it. You are right, but why else maybe besides that?
Because we hold each other accountable.
Ah, there you go. Held each other accountable. Yeah, we lift each other up. We encourage each other, right? Sometimes we have to admonish each other. Different things like that, right? And so those are reasons why we do that as well. So let's dive into our lesson here, because if I do too much of this other stuff, I'll run out of time. So I have a question up here. And it says, what might be reasons why people don't come to church? What do you think? Is there any good
Do
reason?
you have enough time to go over those questions?
What?
Do you have enough time to go over those reasons?
Oh, all the reasons? All the
Oh,
reasons?
yeah.
Well, no, we're not going to do that. But are there some things you've heard, maybe some excuses or reasons or whatever you want to call them? A reason versus an excuse, by the way. What is a reason? Well, it's a skin of a lie. I mean, an excuse. A skin of a lie stuffed with skin of a
Truth.
A truth stuffed in a lie. That's what excuse I heard. So anyway, but a reason or excuse or whatever word you want to use why people don't come to church.
My dad would say exactly as that paragraph said. He'd say, I can worship God right out there under that tree.
And you know,
And
there's
he
a
used-
kernel of truth there.
And he did use God's name during his time.
But there's a purpose for church, obviously.
Yeah.
And we're going to discuss more here about that. Any other things come up to mind why people don't? I know one. Good. Yes, go ahead.
Well, it could be that you're in pain or you're sick.
That's true. Now that's a good reason. If you can't get out of bed.
That doesn't mean you can't
That's true. Online, we have that advantage today. Now, if you're not hindered that way, you should obviously be there as much as you can in person. But if you can't, that's a great way to also experience that worship with others.
They don't believe.
Another good excuse is they just don't believe. I like that one. That's true. Another popular one is, well, they're just a bunch of hypocrites at that place, and so that's an excuse not to go. But you know, that's okay. You know, we're all sinners, saved by grace, so we could use another one. Come on in. Is everybody warm in here?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm gonna-
gosh.
I'm going to turn that down so it does not heat up anymore.
Oh, good.
But there are lots of these excuses or reasons that people use. I don't have enough time. They're too picky down there. They're too legalistic. They're too whatever it might be, fill in the blank. There's all these kind of things that sometimes people come up with, right? A significant issue that God led Moses to address with his people was how and where they should worship God alone.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
God tells us to welcome each other with open arms.
Right.
And some churches really don't. So,
That could be another reason that they're so cold down there at that place.
yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
We need to watch out for all those things.
Heaven forbid somebody sit in our seat.
We won't go there. But anyway, so Moses addresses this issue with the Israelites, right?
No.
How and where they were to worship, especially compared to how the other people in Canaan worship their deities. Okay, because remember we talked about this before. Where are the Israelites right now?
In the desert.
They're in the desert. They're in the area of Moab. They're right across from a big fortress city of Jericho. And I'm not going to see it on my map here. Oh, here's Moab. And here's the Dead Sea. I think Jericho's right on the other side there. It's not on that map. I thought it was on that map. Well, it should be on that map. I'll have to talk to the map makers now.
Yeah.
I think it's like right across the Jordan River. It's supposed to be in this area here. Anyway,
Over there.
so they're on this map. It shows it over here. Yeah.
It is right there.
I have it on this one. You're right about that. There's Jericho right there. So it's for the Dead Sea. Like I said, the Dead Sea. It's right about where my fingertip is, right there. So they're encamped in the area of Moab, which is a general area, and they're about to come across the Jordan River. The second time they've come to the borders of the Promised Land. This time they're going in. So Moses can't come. Remember, Moses sinned against God. He's the leader. He can't do that, and so he has to be that object lesson for the rest of the children of Israel. Because guess what? The whole group of children of Israel had to wander for 40 years because of their sins, right? Yeah. So their leader has to be faithful. So anyway, they're about to go in that land, and they know what's in the land. What? Pagan religions, right? And so Moses is concerned like a father or a mother is for their children, right? Those children are going to go into there, and they're going to be exposed to all these things. And he's wondering, are they going to make it? You know, and that you can sympathize with him in that kind of a worry, right? So that's what's going on. As the Israelites prepared to enter the Promised Land, God provided specific instructions about their worship practices. He had high expectations for them to follow these instructions. As we dig into these expectations in these passages, I want you to think about your own worship and any adjustment that God might be leading you to make in that area. This week's study comes from the last part of Moses' second message, and it's encompassing Exodus chapter 12, verses 1 through Exodus chapter 26, 19. It's a long set of instructions, isn't it? Yeah. But he's doing that, and we are on our little outline on the second address right here. So this is the section we're in.
So you said it was through Exodus.
Exodus.
Deuteronomy.
I'm sorry, I said Exodus. Deuteronomy.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you for holding me accountable. That's why I'm here, to be held accountable.
You were just seeing about paying attention.
I was testing you. Yeah. Second address of, I even pointed at the word and I said it wrong. Deuteronomy 5:1 through 26:19 is that second address of Moses. And he is so concerned about these children of Israel. They're like babes in the woods, you might say. That they're going into this land filled with idols and pagan deities of all sorts.
And he knew he wouldn't.
What's that?
And he knew he wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
to
he can't
help
go.
guide him.
He can't go. Yes. So these applications address specific matters that Israelites would face in the years ahead. Moses' words would teach Israelites how to live as God's people in the land he was giving them. All right, so let's look at the first section. First section is remove idolatry. Well, what is idolatry, first of all? Let's define our term here. That sounds almost something like, well, that person, was an idolater. What does that mean? It can get confused with other terms, can't it?
Oh, a lot of people have statues of Mary or different statues that they hold in
So it's an image.
reverence.
It's an image that they would hold in reverence that is not approved by God.
Right.
How about that? There being a definite word,
Or a
working
person.
definition.
Yeah.
Or a person.
Worshipping a false god
Mhm.
or an object in place of God.
Right.
And
Most people would think of it as an image or something physical. And I was going to get to the fact that it's not necessarily that, is it? No, it could be an idea.
but
It could be a
God,
person.
in
right?
last week's study, it said, don't worship any animal or anything made like an animal
Right.
or like a person
Right.
or it said
He went
several
through a whole
things.
list of things, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah. So he's reiterating because, well, it's good to repetition. Sometimes it's good for the soul, right? Repeating something over and over, like a main point, Pastor. Yeah.
I agree with you.
So it's a good thing to do that. So we're going to look at the first part here, and our first part is remove idolatry. Remove this thing that is going to be in the land that you're taking over, because you're going to be there. It's your inheritance. It was your land to begin with. These people moved in. These people were told, do not worship these foreign idols. Now they're paying the consequence. You're going to be my hand in sweeping this out of the area that is promised to you. So on these first 7 verses, I want you to listen for the parts of the covenant a lot of these times these covenants have structure to them, and that brings us up to our next handout, which is handout number 2, which is the 3rd page. Ancient Covenant Structure is called. Ancient Covenant Structure. So find that page and turn it open to that page, because as we read these verses, I want you to be thinking about this and say, oh yeah, that sounds like that part. Oh, that sounds like that part. Oh, that sounds like that part. By the way, I also have over here a poster. Those of you online cannot really see it that clearly. I apologize.
But the handout should be coming through clear.
Oh, yep, the handout's crystal clear, I think. Anyway, let's go ahead and read those verses. Who has number 1 for me? Oh, you got the good long one, don't you? Yeah, okay.
All right. Put my glasses on. Deuteronomy 12, 1 through 7. These are the statutes and the judgments which you shall carefully observe in the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess as long as you live on the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. You shall tear down their altars and smash their sacred pillars and burn their Asherim with fire, and you shall cut down the engraved images of their gods and obliterate their name from that place. You shall not act like this toward the Lord your God, but you shall seek the Lord at the place which the Lord your God will choose from all your tribes to establish his name there for his dwelling, and there you shall come. There you shall bring your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, the contribution of your hand, your votive offerings, your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your herd and of your flock. There also you and your households shall eat before the Lord your God, and rejoice in all your undertakings in which the Lord your God has blessed you.
So there's a lot of verses there, right? I gave you the big one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Steve had the gall to complain about the smaller one I gave him, right? But anyway, well, there's a lot of stuff to unpack in these verses.
Yes.
Basically what is he doing is he's reiterating or repeating something again that he's already said, right? And he's warning them once again, watch out, follow these things that God's already told us. Don't forget about them. Make sure you utterly destroy the places where the nations have served their gods. Something called the high mountains. Now, a high mountain was also called a high place. Now, how could you destroy a mountain, you might ask, right? Well, you don't. But you destroy the altar and the worship things that are been constructed there by the previous pagan worshipers. And that's what he's saying. Those things where they worship to those pagan deities, tear them all down on those high places. You can't really tear the high place itself down, but you can tear down the structures and stuff
Have
like
you
that.
seen Mount St. Helens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
God worked there.
it says tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars,
Yep.
burn the ashram with fire. Well, what is the ashram? Now, we know what some of these idols were. The primary one was Baal. And Baal was typified a lot of times by a bull. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think, but I don't remember.
Anyway,
In
I
my
know what
Bible it
Asherah
says.
is.
and Asherah is different. Asherah was a fertility god. And it was sometimes as a woman, but sometimes just a pole, and you call that your Asherah. And you
The
give
pool
it.
was like a center of worship,
Right.
like dancing around, profaning,
Right.
profaning things. Around.
Right.
Is that where the maypole,
There has some roots in that probably. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
It's a pagan thing. And that was a pagan, maypole was a pagan thing originally.
right.
Anyway, so you're supposed to do what? Tear it down with fire. Burn up these wooden things that are burnt. Crush these things that are made out of stone. I probably melt the ones that are some sort of metal. In other words, what? You obliterate. And that's what it says. Obliterate these things and the names that are associated with them. And you shall not act this way towards the Lord your God. In other words, you should not do these things. But instead, verse 5, but you shall seek the Lord in the place which the Lord your God will choose from all your tribes to establish his name there for a dwelling, and there you shall come. In other words, he's saying there should be a place for worship. Now, what was that place? For 5 points, what was the first place that they worshipped at? Can you tell me?
The tabernacle.
Yeah, it was in the tabernacle, but they set it up in a place, a location. It was at Shiloh. It was one of the main places.
And when they established the land, yeah.
Yeah, but later on it became a permanent. The tabernacle was no longer needed because it became a permanent place to worship, and that was called I'll give you a hint. Solomon built it. The temple, yeah, the temple, which was built in Jerusalem. So that was looking down the road. They haven't done that yet, okay? But he's saying when you secure the land, you're going to establish a place to worship, and that was the idea. A central place to worship, not on that hill over there and that one there, over there, and there's a graven image over there, and there's a pole up there. No, one place you worship God. That's what he's saying. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes, contributions of your hand, your votive offerings, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herd and of your flock. So there would be a central place for all these parts of worship to do. And something was in my mind, and it's gone already. Oh, man, I hate that one. Don't you hate that one?
One of those that just goes,
Yeah, it was a good thought, too. But let's review real quickly. I don't want to spend too much time here, but what, okay, let me see. You know what a burnt offering basically is, and a sacrifice, and a tithe. We all know what those things are, right? What is a votive offering? What do you think a votive offering is?
I
It's
think of
on
votive as a
November.
candle.
It's the first Tuesday in November when you vote. That's your offering, right?
No,
No.
Isn't it,
you light candles. I
Ah,
think.
votive candles. Maybe it's with candles. You were gonna say
Instead of a lamp.
a lamp. Okay. It could be a lot of those things. You're right, but they're symbolizing something. The word votive is actually meaning, and I had it here. So it's a okay. Worshippers often brought special gifts or free will offerings and offerings related to things vowed for, and a general thankfulness. A votive offering is a gift or offering made in fulfillment of a vow or pledge to God. In the Bible, votive offerings were common practices in both the Old and New Testament times. So now you know what a votive offering is. What about a free will offering? That was the next one that might stump you. What's a free will offering mean? Does that mean I can do whatever I want to? In a sense.
You freely give.
You can
Yeah,
freely give.
it's
It's
the
an expression
extra.
of worship, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, expression of
Yes.
worship and joy.
It's
I love the Lord so much, I want to give him something out of the joy of my heart.
One of the ways you could look at this is a non-compulsive offering. Now it's kind of a stupid way to say it, you see.
No.
But okay, how about a voluntary offering? There you go. That maybe focuses a little bit better. But that's what a free will offering was. Don't get confused with some of these terms. Some of these terms can be off-putting. What are they talking about?
Did you say votive was again?
A votive offering is a gift or offering made in fulfillment of a vow, usually.
So
A
think-
vow.
So votive, think vow.
Yeah.
Vow. Yeah.
Votive for vow.
That's where that comes from. Or a pledge to God.
I promised I will do this, and therefore, as a consequence, I'm fulfilling
And-
my vow.
And I'm giving this offering to cement the deal, you might say, in my heart and my life that I'm
Yeah.
doing this, right?
Outward expression of the inward decision.
Yes, exactly right. And the free will offering is a pretty interesting thing as well. What about us today? What kind of offerings do we have? Oh, I forgot to mention, a donation, contribution given out of one's own free choice without external compulsion or command. That's what that means. So, do we give free will offerings? Sure we do. Yeah. As God moves our hearts to support whatever aspect of the church might be to help heritage girls in some specific way. You've heard about there's a need and you're helping out. It could be because we need a new sump pump. And the church can't quite afford it, let's say. I'm making this up here because we can't afford it. But you say, I'm going to help with that sump pump, because God's laid it on my heart. I was a part of a church in the high desert of California, Mojave Desert area, at Edwards Air Force Base. I was stationed out there. It was Rosemont Baptist Church, and we had at that time a ministry to Hispanics and stuff like this, and they were very active in trying to help the Hispanics, and they had a need for a portable PA system. And it's like, this doesn't happen often, but God said, you need to do that. Step up and do that. Well, I'm just an airman. I don't have that much. You still need to do it. So I talked to my wife about it. She says, I think we should do it. So we did it. Because God laid it on our heart to freely give to help this one specific thing. That's an example. So when God moves your heart that way, realize it's a word from God about these things. And that's a special thing, right? Now, verse 7 says, there also you and your households shall eat before the Lord your God, and rejoice in all your undertakings in which the Lord your God has blessed you. Now, we're talking about worship here. So what's a component of worship here? I'll give you a hint. It starts with a J. Not Jesus, although that is it. Joy. Joy, happiness, and that's expressing this here. And how are they going to have this joy? They're going to be blessed of God, right? When they followed Him, right? And that's what this expression on verse 7 is trying to say. Now, a verse that goes along with it, let me read this a little bit here. Verse 7 in the commentary talks about this. Implicit in the idea of eating in the presence of the Lord was the idea that Israelites would not worship in this manner elsewhere. Moses commanded the people to rejoice in their worship. The wording suggests that worship and feasting were family events. All family members should celebrate the blessing of their relationship with God and with one another. Being faithful to and trusting in God would always be a blessing to them. Now this brings up an interesting verse that just popped into my brain. It wasn't part of the lesson. Who's got number A, letter A? I gave it to somebody.
I have a.
Go ahead, read A for me.
Woohoo!
It's Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding.
There you go. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. There's a companion to that. But I like that first half because that expresses what? What does that verse express?
You're not leaning on yourself.
Yes. When you're
Okay.
having
You're
problems,
Leaning, you're leaning on the Lord.
You're trusting in Him.
right.
You're putting your faith in Him. And that's what Moses was saying most critically is trust God. Don't go to these pagan idols and deities that are all around you in the promised land. You need to get rid of them. Get them out of the land. Right? So that's what that's saying there. Smashing their pillars, tearing down their things, or breaking up the carved image. All these things were things that they would do, actions to do to cleanse the land, so they would be able to focus on God alone, Yahweh alone. Okay? So why was it important for the Israelites to focus first on ridding the land of pagan worship sites and related objects? Why do you think that was important?
Because, well, their fathers were raised in Israel where there were, it was pagan religions there, and they had idols, and then they all died off.
Right.
And but their fathers when Moses was up in the mountain too long, they built that golden calf
Right.
already.
So they were trying to incorporate those things that they'd seen in Egypt and
Right.
other things, and
And
so
he was worried that they would
revert back. Right.
yes.
So they've been in God's basic training boot camp.
Yes.
Okay, for 40 years. You think 6 weeks is a long time for Air Force basic training, Steve, or
Oh,
Matthew?
it's way too long.
Way too long. How about 40 years? That was boot camp for
That's
the
about
Israelites.
right.
And so now they're going into the real world.
It's after Moses, right? They had his 40 years of boot camp.
That's true. So
Plus another 40 years.
It's important to rid the land of these things so your focus will be on God. Now, what about us today? Do we have problems with focusing on things today, do you think?
Every day.
We do? You mean we might have idols? We might have idols that we need to watch out for, perhaps?
Thank you.
Now, this is a copy of something I sent on the email that I thought was interesting for us to discuss here.
Look at all the idols.
So there you have a picture of the Asherah, one of the,
Now, I'm going to
one
have
of
to
the
hold on, so
symbols.
you're going to have to copy that.
One of the symbols of Asherah on the left is in the kind of the peach box or the brown box, and then the cow there is thought to be like the footstool for Baal.
Uh-huh.
That was, by the way, probably where the Israelites thought they were playing a kind of subtle game. We didn't make an idol of God. We just made a calf that he stands on.
Yeah.
When Aaron did the whole golden calf situation, because the imagery shows their God standing upon the animals. And so that's another interesting element.
So those of you online, if you had a copy of the email, on the actual first part of on the email was a copy of this, by the way. So you can see that there as well. But anyway, we see ancient idols. There was two primary ones that they were worried about. And like he said, the left one was Asherah, right? And the right one was Baal, or Baal.
There's different ways.
No.
Now,
Yeah.
what about us today? We don't have those kind of things, right?
No, we got iPhone and Samsung.
Oh. Do we have things that take our time, take our priority, maybe during worship, that our eyes go to instead of going up to where the words being
Yeah, my
proclaimed?
niece sent me a text and said I'm pregnant. And I went,
But what I'm saying is, some of these things. So look what are some of the things that's displayed here under modern idols?
Food.
Food.
Gaming.
Now that's the lust of the flesh, right? Gaming council.
Epicurean.
What was that?
Epicurean.
Epicurean, that's right. Epicureanism is a excess type of religion. We have, of course, somebody already mentioned the TV, the little shopping bag there. Ooh, what about the football? Is that something we maybe prioritize higher, perhaps, than our worship?
Sometimes.
Oh, it's the big game. Oh, yeah, I could DVR it, but it's so much funner watching it in person. I'm just gonna let them know I'm sick. I can't come to the church today. How about?
There's a fishing pole.
Oh, we talked about that before.
Right.
You missed my visual aid.
I did.
Fishing.
Very nice.
Lures.
Yeah, I love
How
it.
these things ensnare
Yeah,
fishes.
they do.
They see the shiny thing and they go up there and grab it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do we we have that ensnare us, don't we, in our own lives? We have pornography is that XXX adult thing. There's Starbucks, so that I mean,
Wait a minute.
you know what? Starbucks.
Yeah. Don't go there.
Hey, did you hear the latest thing? There, Starbucks. The big thing was the Stanley Cup that was pink or something like that, right? That was a big deal for a while. And you could buy them from Starbucks. Anyway, now it's the bear. Somebody mentioned the bear, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the bear one? You can go there and get this mug that's shaped. Oh, they just stole it right off the honey bear. You know the honey bears in the store? It looks just like honey bear. And they take this mug that's shaped like the honey bear and they mix all your little coffee in there, and for I don't know, $30 you can have that with your drink.
Oh.
I don't know what it is. So that's the latest thing. You're going to see that craze. Anyway, so people are worshiping these. One guy got up at 4 o'clock in the morning so he could line up at Starbucks and get these things. And they opened the doors and they said, oh, we only have one.
in and out.
And he was the second person.
Oh.
But
And
he-
employees were buying them, they found
They
out.
put them aside sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
are there idols to us? Yeah. The big one here in our lives that we don't even know about it is this one right here. Somebody already mentioned it.
Shopping.
We sleep.
Not shopping.
Your cell phone.
We
Yeah.
sleep.
The phone.
Oh, the one down below. Oh.
Every time we have a
Oh,
spare moment to
1500?
think, we
Yeah.
stare
Oh,
at
that's
it.
why the employees are buying them.
It's in our hands
So-
all the time.
so they-
Sorry.
So the cell phone,
We feel naked without.
the smartphone, is something that people will put above almost anything else. And it's an amazing thing to see, phenomenon. It has crept into our society.
It should be the wallet.
It's crept in, well, okay, that's signified here with the dollar sign.
Yeah.
You know, but you're right. But the cell phone is insidious.
Yeah.
Because it's a tool. Oh, it's useful. I can check everything right here, even during church time. Okay, I have to say this. I can't believe how many times I've seen people just doing like this, and they're doing a game or they're
Yep.
checking their
Me too.
Facebook
Yeah.
while the preaching is going on.
Me
So
too.
have these things come into our culture, into our church culture and stuff like
Is
this?
it a lure and distraction?
I would be in favor of a device, and they make these things. There's a Catholic
Yeah.
church out of Mexico that did this. They have a jammer.
I think it might be
They-
illegal
they-
because
and they
of,
switch,
our country's laws.
Ching, like that, and your cell phone goes. Ching.
Oh.
That free will.
And then after the service, oh my gosh. But anyway, they tried it in like some place in the U.S. and they said, oh, you can't do that. You can't jam cell signals. So we have to do it ourselves.
They do have
self jam, don't
They
we?
do have some services that will be advertised as screen-free services, where low tech, and you have handouts and that's it. No screens up above, no screens in your hands, and it takes away a lot of those distractions. It's actually I'm not opposed to doing screen-free worship. It's just people need to elect for that. You can't shove it on them.
Well, let's look here at the next part here, and I have something I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about it right now. So when these things come into our lives and they start taking us away from true worship, okay, we are mixing things, and that's what that Moses is afraid of. Moses is afraid that the Israelites would mix in with worship of Yahweh alone, or what we call Judaism, with these other things. And there is a word for that for 5 points. What's that word?
They're trying to synchronize religion.
Oh,
and
you're
say
close.
everyone's
You're
coming
close.
together,
You're close.
right?
You're close. You're very close. You're oh so close, but no cigar yet.
No, I was trying to help others.
Page 2. Well, page 2 of handout 1
Syncretism.
looks like this. Ah, what was that word?
Syncretism.
Syncretism. Now that is a bona fide $10 word. What is syncretism? I can't even hardly say it. A big concern of Moses in Deuteronomy 12, I'm going to read this, was that the children of Israel would attempt to incorporate, that is, mix in, some of the pagan Canaanite religious practices and beliefs into the worship of the one and only true God, Yahweh. Many times God had warned about this coming problem. Many times. The modern word for this type of mixing is syncretism. Syncretism. In this case, syncretism is the process by which, it's a word that's used in other ways too, but in religious circles, in Christianity in particular, this is how we're applying it. Just keep that in mind. You'll see that used in other things, not religious things. Yes.
My phone will sync, right? So if
Yeah.
I
That's
update to my
synchronization.
if I update my app is syncing the update, right?
Right.
And so
It's
it's trying
not
to take something from outside and
Yeah.
mix it with what's already there.
It's actually lining up with what's.
Yeah.
That's where you
But that's
synchronize.
the
It's a
connective
similar
one.
word.
Yeah.
It's a similar word. You're right. But anyway,
Sounds similar.
so the way we are using it, of one religion is merged into another religion. The result of this union of different and at times opposing religious practices is a corruption. This is important. You're corrupting the central important nature of, in this case, Christianity. That is absorbing that foreign religious elements. Sadly, Israel would soon fall into sin with terrible results, ignoring all the warnings they had been given. The Christian, and by the way, God knew it was going to happen, right? He knew it was going to happen. He was warning them ahead of time, so we'd say, "Oh, God did warn us. We need to ask God's forgiveness." Then we come back to God. The Christian church today must always be on guard for this kind of threat. Charles Spurgeon, a very prominent 19th century British preacher and a theologian, he warned in this quote, "I believe that one reason why the Church of God at this present moment," it's funny he had that problem there, we got even more now by the way, "at this present moment has so little influence over the world is because the world has so much influence over the church." Shame on Christians for letting these things come into our lives, right? Anyway, I want to make sure I read that because that's an important thing to see. Let's look at our next point.
A lot of people just use the word Christian as a label, though.
That's true. They don't understand. That's why we disciple them,
Yeah.
so people know these things. Number 2, worship God. Who has number 2?
Is yours 2 or 3?
I got 3.
You got 3.
Okay.
Somebody else got 2.
I have not.
You got 2?
I can't find my paper, but I'll read the.
No, it's not There you
No,
go.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's 8 through 11.
It's
Yeah.
yes, verse 8 through 11.
Yeah.
Right on.
You can read whatever translation.
Yeah. I have the Holman Bible. You do not do as we are doing here today. Everyone is doing whatever seems right in his own eyes. Indeed, you have not yet come into the resting place and the inheritance of the Lord your God is giving you. When you cross the Jordan and live in the land the Lord your God is giving you, you inherit, and he gives you rest from all the enemies around you, and you live in security. Then Yahweh your God will choose the place to have his name to dwell. Bring there everything I command you, your burnt offerings, sacrifices, offerings of the tenth, personal contributions, and all your choice offerings you vow to the Lord.
Okay.
Through what? Through, yeah, oh,
Perfect. Yeah.
That was,
Okay.
I think that was the last verse,
yeah.
So, he's saying that you shall not do at all what you are doing here today. Every person doing whatever is right in their own eyes. Now, what does that mean? Was that a bad thing necessarily at this time? What he's saying?
Yes,
Okay.
because if you're doing what's right in your own eyes, you're not considering what's right in God's eyes.
Yes and no, because this is the reason why. This is an interim thing for them. The wandering together and having that, and they're all together in one big group. They're about to enter the promised land. What's going to happen?
They're gonna
Chink,
separate.
chink, 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 chink. Right? That map right there shows the 12 tribes of Israel and how they were divided. You cannot see it very well, but it's different colors for different sections. That's what's going to happen. Is it going to be easy then to worship and keep the coherency? No, it's going to be harder. That's why he says there's going to be one place you're going to go to worship, essentially, right? And that's why it's important to do that. To keep that corporate worship experience. So you've been doing whatever you felt was right, and that's great because you're all within this one little tight circle, right? So is it easy to do that? Oh, sure, it's easy because you're with that same group of people. You're in the wilderness. You're together, but now you're going to be spread out in this area where all the pagans were and all this stuff. So it's not going to be easy. You cannot continue to do this, he's saying, right? Now, later on, that same terminology is used in more of a negative connotation. But for right here, am I right about saying that?
Right, so it might be comparable. There's a phrase we will use to describe how God revealed himself. We call it progressive revelation.
Right.
He reveals progressively, over time, he reveals more and more of himself. So before the time of the priests, a father of a family would serve as a priest for his family. And that was normal, that was acceptable, that was good. The father would give the sacrifices and the offerings. That was great. But once God established a priesthood, it would now then be wrong for a father of a non-priestly family to serve as a priest for his family, because God says, I'm directing you this way. And if you look, it all begins to point towards Christ, even the tabernacle,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so he starts off very generally, but then he begins to kind of try to hem them in ways that are going to point them towards Jesus.
Exactly.
And so
Focusing on true
right.
worship.
So they had freedom of this element of worship. He says, hey, right now you've got freedom here while we've been in the wilderness. However, this element of worship, God's going to kind of point us in a very specific way once you into that land.
And so things are changing. You need to realize because of that, you need to focus more on God and not let these things pull you apart. Can we be pulled apart in our lives today? All kinds of distractions, right? Not because we're purposely doing it, but because things like that happen and we get pulled apart. And so he's saying to the Israelites, that's what's going to happen to you unless you follow what I'm telling you.
Go into that idea of syncretism, right? I mean, why bring them all together to one spot? Well, because by default, if they just do it all in their own scattered provinces, they're going to start to, hey, I kind of like what these Canaanites are doing. That's a really fun
Let's
idea.
blend that into
Yeah, I like that dance. Let's bring that dance into this. Or, hey, I like how they're doing this type of sacrifice. Let's use that type of sacrifice. And so God's trying to help them stay united spiritually as a people.
Right. And verse 9 says, for you have not as yet come to the resting place and the inheritance which the Lord your God is giving. Again, it's bringing out the fact that you haven't experienced this different situation.
There's a transition coming.
There's a transition coming. And is it important, by the way, to have a resting place, to have security like an inheritance? Is this an important thing? Well, it's very important. And a good example of that is Naomi and Ruth. And the story that, you familiar with that, I hope? That's a great, great story. You should read that if you haven't read that for a while. Let me see, where was that? I had it written down here somewhere. Moses used two terms to describe the land of Israel would receive. First, he called it a resting place. The Hebrew word here is related in the language is same as used where Naomi sought security for her and her daughter-in-law when they came back from was it Midian? I think it was Midian. Anyway, Moab, was it Moab? I know she was a Moabite. That's Moab, yeah. And in Ruth, it talks about that. Ruth's marriage to Boaz brought them the rest and security. This is what Moses is telling them here is similar to that kind of thing. And if you ever read those verses, Ruth 1:9, it says, Naomi said, "May the Lord grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband." Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And then Ruth said, "I'm not going to leave you.
You're stuck with me.
You're stuck with me." The other one went back, but she stayed with her. She stayed with her. It says, then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to Ruth, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you?" So she's now concerned for this daughter that has stayed with her. This daughter-in-law didn't have to. She is. And then in Ruth 4:9-10, we see the results. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, "You are witnesses today that I have brought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Amalek, and all that belonged to Shilion and Mahlon. Moreover, I have acquired Ruth, the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, to be my wife, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance." Equals security, right? So the name of the deceased will not be cut off or annihilated from his brothers or from the court of his birthplace. You are witnesses today. So we see that did Naomi and Ruth have security and rest at that point? Oh, they did. They had no chance before, and now they did. And this is what he's talking about. This is Moses is saying, you're going to have that experience. Isn't that a wonderful thing to think? We have that in our lives as Christians, don't we? And that's an exciting thing. Now, this is such a great lesson. I just hate to leave anything out, but I'm going to have to go on because we're almost out of time. Let's look at the last one. Okay. Stand firm. And this is, we're going to skip to verses 29-32. And it says, for the last 4 verses, listen for what God would do and what the Israelites were to avoid in taking possession of the land. Who has number 3? Go ahead and read that for us, please.
The Lord your God will cut off before you the nations you are about to invade and dispossess. But when you...
Go ahead, keep going.
I wasn't sure about it because they split the word in 2.
Oh, yeah.
It's a funny word. You got it, though.
But when you have driven them out and settled in their land, and after they have been destroyed before you, be careful not to be ensnared by inquiring about their gods, saying, "How do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same." You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping the gods, they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. See that you do all I command you. Do not add to it or take away from it.
Okay, so Moses is, again, he hits it over and over, doesn't he? Do not forget. It says that the Lord your God is going to cut off the nations. So what does that mean? If you look at some other translations, you get a little better idea. In the Holman Christian Standard Bible, it says, when the Lord your God annihilates the nations before you, they were going to do what God wanted them to do and proceed through the country to secure the country. And they would, in the process, do what? They're supposed to do what?
Anyone who stays behind is destroyed.
Is destroyed, right. And again, he uses the word ensnared again in verse 30. Do you think it's an important word for them to understand?
Yes.
There are these snares, these hooks, like on our lures that I was showing you, right? These hooks, they can hook you if you get too close to these things that are not what you should be doing. So stand firm in the Lord, in other words. Don't fall for those kind of things. These things are detestable. The Lord hates these things. And they're gods as well. Now, it's interesting, in verse 31, it says, they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Now, this was a later on, they identified this one god as Molech, I believe. And Molech was I think bronze, I'm not sure, something like that. And it was a structure, had arms out like this supposedly, and it was hollow. And they would build a fire inside this idol. It would superheat this idol. They would take their children and lay them in the arms of Moloch, alive. Think about that. Israel started doing the same thing. Wow. So did Israel listen? Not necessarily.
Some of them.
They fell
Yeah,
into
some of them, huh?
some of them did, but some did not. And that's a horror. Now we don't do anything like that today, right? Our idols are not that way.
Well, there's this picture.
Yeah, that picture. There is aspects of things called abortion, for instance, where our children are killed through abortion, and it's for reasons most of the time it's for reasons of what? Convenience. I know there's exceptions. I'm not talking about exceptions. We're talking about the main reasons today. And so it's a horrible thing. So in our country, where we see that practice, essentially, we think we're more sophisticated. We would never do that, but we do in a way, don't we? Isn't that sad? Anyway, so should we be on our alert for that too?
Yes.
Yes, we need to be.
The Bible emphasizes a lot about the importance of raising up your children to be godly offspring. And that was the phrase that God used when he spoke about Abraham before Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, I've called on him to raise up his family to be godly offspring. And one of the ways today as well, not just the extreme version, but a lot of people will give their children up to the world, in essence. They'll offer them to Molech because they just don't disciple their children. They don't raise them up in the admonition and the nurture and the love of the truth of God.
Yeah.
And so that's another way that's very insidious as well.
Yes. In these verses, and I meant to make mention of this, God's saying these things, and he's expecting the people to do certain things too, right? You should do these things. So we don't have time to go out because we run out of time.
Somebody rang the bell.
Somebody rang the bell on me. But we need to be aware of these dangers as well, because the Israelites faced them and we faced them as well. Having promised his people the military victory, God knew the Israelites faced another threat, spiritual defeat. He did not want his people to go after these foreign gods. A concern was that the Hebrews would attempt to incorporate some of the Canaanite religious practices and beliefs into Judaism. We talked about this already. That word is syncretism. Ooh, I learned that word today in Bible study. Syncretism. We don't want to do that. We don't want to meld these pagan things into the true worship of God. And he's warning them again about that. So let's finish up. What did we learn today? Well, there's three things that go with our summary points. And I want, as we read these things, think about which one of these might be easier to do, or which one of these might be more difficult to do. First one, Christians should be prepared to recognize and avoid false gods. Is that a good thing? Yeah. Is that number one? It's hard to do, easy to do? I don't know. Think about that one, probably.
Depending on the person.
Second, we are to worship the Lord by bringing our offerings to him. Oh, I can do that one. I'll put that down as I can do that one, right? Do we always do it though?
Nope.
Sometimes we don't. Third one, Christians should be strong spiritually, worshiping God alone. Remember our list of idols. Are you prepared to put some of these idols aside? You didn't see this, did you? I'll give you my copy. I'll get one of these back, I'm sure, right?
We have to go outside.
Oh, that's good. Ancient idols. Here's our idols. All the different things, right? Cell phone, TV, all these different things. They can be idols. Are they on themselves some things that we gotta always put away from us? No. But if we worship them, in other words, we prioritize them over God, are they then an idol? We need to be aware of those things. That was the point of that. So, which of those things are easiest to do? Which are the most difficult to do?
Depending on the person.
Yeah. It's a rhetorical question. Think about it, right? There's other things we should do, and maybe as Christians aren't doing it. Some of them are parts of worship as well. Tithes and offerings. Are we doing what we should be doing? Or maybe not. Think about those things. Are there things that can draw us away from being faithful to God in our daily lives? Watch out for them. Don't let that happen. At the end of the day, you say, well, I should have done such and such. I know I got experiencing God's doing it. I didn't have time to do it, but I had time to go through an hour and a half of Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Gee, wonder where my priorities were that time, right? So watch out for those things. Don't let them take away your time from God. So this week, take time to read through these verses again. There's another handout. It says praying through the scriptures. And I'm not going to say more than that. You can look at the handout yourself. It looks like this. And this is a generic guide for going through the scriptures that we just studied. Go ahead and read through the scriptures again using this guide. It'll probably help you to focus more on what we talked about. Challenge from our study today is to take time to examine our own life for gods that might draw us away from staying faithful to God alone. I think that's a good thing to realize, right? Let's have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this, these words that Moses wrote down so many years ago that really strike home to us in our walk too, Lord. Help us to remain faithful to you, to draw close to you, to focus on you, and put away these things sometimes that eat up these times during worship. Lord, I just pray that you show us those things in our lives that we can sometimes let become idols, Lord, corrupting our faithful worship to God. And I just pray that you help us in that regard. Thank you so much in your Son's name. Amen. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Great stuff we had today. I had to hurry a little bit, but I think we got the main points.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you guys' input. It really helps to teach a class when I have people responding like this. And for those of you online, thank you for coming. My name is Norm Ellis. This is Grace Baptist Church, the Adult One Bible Study. Stand by this same YouTube channel. Our pastor will be bringing up the next hour, so you can catch him as well. God bless you all. Thank you.
Tina,
Thank you.
can
Thank
you
you.
help me with a cell phone issue?
I need
Yes.
I need to get up here for a moment, so I'm going to set this down.
I'm
Oops,
sorry.
That's right. You're okay.
For some reason, my Wi-Fi has turned off.
Okay.
And last week I tried to do the census.
Hey, no, let's go this way first.
Oh,